Hey, Oak Grove. This is one more of our missions interviews where we're talking to the different groups or people that we fund. We are a part of the thing called the Cooperative Program. When you say Southern Baptist, that's a more helpful idea of we give to the cooperative program. And instead of talking to somebody who's been in the jungle, or Dr. Grace may have been in the jungle at some point, um, we're talking to somebody in a nice suit and a nice office who works at a seminary. And he's going to explain to us today and help us understand what the cooperative program is. So, Dr. Grace, will you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, thank you, Cody. Really appreciate you making the time to talk about the cooperative program. My name is Madison Grace, and I serve as the Provost and Vice President for Academics at Southwestern Baptist Theological Seminary in Fort Worth, Texas, which is one of your seminaries. Now, Cody is an alum from here, um, and so very thankful to see him again. I knew him when he was a student here, but this is a seminary and that has five schools, one being an undergraduate called Texas Baptist College. And we teach students that are called to ministry and prepare them for the vocation that comes along with anything with the church or missions or church planting. But we are generally involved in what we call theological education, what I like to call just practically equipping people to be involved in vocational ministry. So that's what we do here, and we are owned by the Southern Baptist Convention. Our board of trustees here at Southwestern are chosen through the Southern Baptist Convention. So we are owned by them and we're governed by the Southern Baptist Convention. So it is a joy for me to serve my convention of churches. I'm also a member of a Southern Baptist church. And so every Sunday when I go to my church, I recognize that this week I served them in the work that I do here at Southwestern as much as I serve students like Cody was many years ago.
I had Dr. Grace for a number of classes, and y'all can thank him for a lot of the refinement that I've received. So, Dr. Grace, what is the cooperative program?
Yeah, that's a really important question. Sometimes we call it CP, but it stands for Cooperative Program. It is in some people's mind, the main funding mechanism of the Southern Baptist Convention. So when Southern Baptists came into being in 1845, they wanted to engage in endeavors beyond the local church. Now, we're all members of a local church, and we know what we do in a local church. We gather for worship on Sundays. We engage our communities with evangelism, and we want to get involved in global missions. And so early on, the reason the Southern Baptist Convention came into being was to find a way to engage in missions better. And so we had a foreign mission board and some other missions work that churches could do collectively because smaller churches can give a little bit of money, but if we add all that money up together, we can send out a lot more missionaries. And so that's what we were trying to do in being a convention, because the main reason that we come together as a convention is for missional enterprises. Throughout the years, early on, the churches found it difficult to give to all of the things that they wanted to give to. So sometimes churches would have every week a different missionary or a different mission society coming into their church and saying, can you give to my missions? We're going to Africa. We're going to China. We're going out to pioneering areas in the United States, the West. This is years ago. And so weekly, you would get these appeals for finances. And there's a duplication of effort, there's a duplication of administration. And so in the early part of the 20th century, Southern Baptists said maybe there's a better way that we can find a way to fund everything that we want to do as Southern Baptists. And it was a long process, but by 1925, the cooperative program was created to be the main funding mechanism of Southern Baptists. Now, this may seem like it's just about dollars and cents, but this really is not just about finding ways to fund what we do, but to highlight the missions that we're engaged in. Even uh, early on with a cooperative program, just asking for money or being engaged led a lot of churches to think we need to be more evangelistic. And so we have data out there that shows like the cooperative program not only brought in all this money that could send out missionaries to the uttermost, but it also encouraged churches to get more involved in missions where they're at. So we saw a lot of people come to faith and were baptized just because of talking about ways that we can cooperate. Today, the cooperative program exists as a means to take care of the main entities of the Southern Baptist Convention. We have two missions agencies, the International Mission Board and the North American Mission Board. And those are the pretty much the main things we do with the monies that we collect as Southern Baptists. Uh, 51% of our monies go to the International Mission Board, and then the rest of the entities have different percentages that they receive, and sometimes it gets more complex how we give out those monies. But between the International Mission Board and NAM, we're sending out church planters and we're sending out missionaries, and all of these uh, account for the great percentage of the funds that we have. So when you give to your church and your church gives to the cooperative program, you are helping missionaries all around the globe in every continent that are trying to tackle darkness with the light of Jesus Christ. So we get to engage there. This is the main way that we send off our missionaries. We also are able to fund other entities that are part of the SBC, like Southwestern Baptist Theological Seminary. We have 6 seminaries in the Southern Baptist Convention. We are one of them. We are training up thousands of students from adult education certificate programs through PhDs that are serving the Lord in a variety of ways. Some of those become teachers. The PhDs become teachers. A lot of our students get a Master of Divinity, which is the gold standard for training in pastoral ministry. And these people are sent off to lead churches. We have MA programs. We have smaller programs for people that just want to learn more about the Bible and theology. We have missions programs that are in cooperation with the IMB, where a lot of our students finish their Master of Divinity or their MA program on the field. So they are taking courses while they're engaged in the missions effort. So we do a lot of work to help equip people that are going to be sent out to churches and to the mission field. And we do that because of the work of the cooperative program. That's a significant part of our budget every year. The CP also helps fund the executive committee that runs the convention and gives to other entities like the Ethics and Religious Liberty Commission and engages in other enterprises that help the Southern Baptist Convention do what the Southern Baptist Convention does. But let me say again, the main thing that we do is to focus on uh, dealing with um, missions and mobilizing people for missions in the local church and to the uttermost.
Very cool. I looked in some documents. Oak Grove, we started giving to the cooperative program. Maybe before this, this is just when I could find it in 1896. Grand total of $5, $2.50 to the home mission board and $2.50 to the foreign mission board. So this is not a new conversation. This is something that's existed for a long time and that we have continually participated in for a very long time. Um, so you gave us the big picture of where all the stuff goes, but kind of in a snapshot, like how does the ecosystem work with the way that the strategy behind how the CP is set up to equip missionaries and pastors and actually have them on the field? You answered it broadly, but like in
Yeah,
a
sure.
snapshot for somebody listening.
Yeah, so let's track some money from someone in your church through your church. So they give in their weekly tithe, and it goes to the church, and then annually you as a congregation together decide what your budget's going to look like, and then how much of that's going to go to the cooperative program. Additionally, you probably are giving towards maybe, I don't know what you're doing, Cody, but typically sometimes give to Lottie Moon, give to Annie Armstrong or other type of missions funds as well. But that cooperative program giving then goes to the church. And for most churches, they go to, this is across the SBC, they go through our state conventions. Now, here in Texas, we have a couple. And so each church decides how they're going to disperse those funds. And then the state conventions themselves have their own budget that they vote on from the churches that are part of it. And they determine how much of their budget will go on to the national convention. And so when that money comes into the executive committee, they're the ones that receive all of that, all those funds. Then the board of the executive committee, which are made up of people across the Southern Baptist Convention, voted on through our processes of the Southern Baptist Convention, they determine the budget and they vote on the budget and they bring it forward to the SBC to vote on ultimately. And in that, they break apart of the funds into the big pie, into the different areas there. So this last year, we finally have completed a percentage change of our budget that came because people went to the Southern Baptist Convention and brought a motion from the floor to say, let's up our giving to the International Mission Board to 51%, so that more than half of our monies that go to CP goes to IMB. We're able to do that because because a messenger from a church came to a microphone and engaged in the Southern Baptist Convention. So that's a lot of our polity, but I wanted to bring that out, Cody, because it's important for everyone in church to realize that this is a grassroots or bottom up type of governance that you're not just giving money to cooperative program and you have no say so or knowledge about where that money's going. Now, once that money is dispersed according to that formula, it is then managed by each entity when they receive those funds. And when they receive them, they have to give accounting back to the whole convention, and they give accounting mainly to the board of trustees. And so we're coming up on a board meeting here at Southwestern in April, and we are putting together reports on the things that we're doing and showing that we're being responsible with the funds that are given to us by the convention. Now, for us, the way I see CP funds, this is our number one scholarship at Southwestern. We receive the funds so that we can train students. And so that's how I look at that. And want to make sure that we are doing the best we can to fund our students and equip them and train them. But you can find something similar for IB and for NAM and the other entities of the convention.
Very cool. Um, can you, and just so y'all know, Dr. Grace has recently written a book on the cooperative program, which you can talk about now or
Oh,
later.
yeah. Yeah, it's called A Unity of Purpose. Kind of co-wrote it with Tony Wolf, and it includes authors all across of the convention. So I have a chapter in there. Tony has a few chapters in there. We edited and put it together, but it will give you the history of the cooperative program if this interests you. And then the second half of it shows us practically how we're using those funds today. So you can find that on Amazon or where else you buy books. But it's a good resource to understand what we're doing. It's called A Unity of Purpose. And we chose that title because it's not just a funding mechanism, but it brings us together to cooperate for the main goals that we have of Southern Baptists, and then we can move forward with those goals.
And I would get asked often, like, why are you a Southern Baptist? And my answer is because I believe it's the greatest mission organization in the world. People get caught up in some of these different things that the Southern Baptist does, or maybe it gets in a headline about something, but the Southern Baptist movement is a missions movement. Training
Mhm,
pastors is a missions movement. Training missionaries is a missions movement.
mhm,
Funding and putting them on the field and giving them support. It's a the whole mechanism is a missions movement. So like for us in our church, if you keep wondering like why is Cody like into the Southern Baptist? I'm not into Southern Baptist because of like it's an old school thing. I'm into it because in my mind it is the greatest missions
mhm,
force in the world in this moment.
mhm. Yeah, we have thousands upon thousands of personnel all around the globe that are engaging lost people with the gospel, and we're seeing people come to faith in some really hard parts. If you come to the annual meeting, one of the highlights of the annual meeting is that we have a sending celebration where missionaries are about to be sent out, come out and say, "My name is so and so, and we're going to this people, and this is how you can pray for me." Um, and there's a good portion of them that have to do it behind a screen, and they don't use their real names because they're going to restricted access nations to which can be dangerous to make sure that the gospel is going forth. And so it really is a great force for kingdom purposes in the Southern Baptist Convention is in engaging in missions.
And I know I've kept you probably a little longer than I told you I would, so let me
That's
wrap it up.
okay.
Um, if you could, like, can you give me just one real story of someone whose ministry or of a real person who has benefited from the CP?
Yeah, I mean, besides you and me,
Yeah, I was about to raise my hand and say me.
yeah. When I mean, I came to seminary. I want to talk about a friend here in a second. I came to seminary um, to be here 3 years and go be a pastor somewhere, work on church staff. I love church work. Then why are you still there? Well, God kept me here. I came for 3 years and stayed on, did a PhD, and stayed on to become a professor. And now I'm in this role, stewarding the academics here at Southwestern. And I love it because I still think it's part of the calling God's given to me. But I could not have done this without CP, without the sacrifices of people all across the Southern Baptist Convention that weekly give their tithe and offerings that allow us to do what we get to do. Um, I have a friend that he got saved in 10th grade, and I started mentoring him. And he went to he went to a Baptist college here in Texas, but then came to Southwestern to do his Master of Divinity. And while he was here, he received the benefit of having cheaper tuition. So our students at Southwestern receive a greatly discounted rate because of the cooperative program. And they um, are able to financially afford the equipping that we provide for them here. I don't know if you've looked at higher education across the board, but it's getting more and more expensive, and we're trying to keep it very low here. The cooperative program helps us do that. So Tyler, while he was here, he's getting trained and equipped to be able to be a um, a pastor, a minister, and he came across some NAM, North American Mission Board missionaries that presented to him the opportunity to become a church planter. He hadn't considered that before, but since we partner with him here at Southwestern, he was able to be educated and mobilized through our World Mission Center, and he's now a church planter in Wyoming and working with NAM, working in a community up there that has seen uh, hundreds of people come week in and week out to hear the word of God preached and proclaimed. And over 75 now that have come to faith in Jesus Christ, and he's planted 3 churches out of his church. His church is not fully funded yet, but he's like, we want to do church planting, and they started more churches in the area. And so his name's Tyler Martin. Pray for him. He's had a difficult year while they're doing this amazing work. His wife, they're young. She had cancer this last year, and Southern Baptists rallied around them in this difficult time. That because they're part of the cooperative program and part of our community of Southern Baptist, they continue to support them in their church planting efforts and made sure that they were taken care of as they're going through this cancer journey. And the Lord has just blessed them immensely. I was able to visit with them in November, preach at their church, see the fruit of what they're doing, and just was so encouraged of how the gospel is going forth and to know, and he would tell you this if he was here, and he's a guy probably you should do one of these with, Cody, and just hear about the amazing things that God's doing in Wyoming. But Tyler would say, I'm able to do this because of the cooperative program and because of the way that churches all across the United States have come together and said, we couldn't send Tyler on our own, but through the cooperative program, Tyler's our missionary, and he's there because of the cooperative efforts that we bring together.
Well, Dr. Grace, thank you so much for your time. Um, Thank you for that story. And we've interviewed in the last couple of weeks two church planners that are cooperative program church planners, but that we specifically give to as a church above what we give to the cooperative
Mhm.
program. But there's still hundreds, if not thousands, of churches
Thousands. That's right.
thousands of churches that are benefiting just by us participating. So, also, I'm gonna let him go. But for those of you who really got into Bonhoeffer a couple of years ago, um, this is the guy I was telling you about. This is the Bonhoeffer guy. He wrote his dissertation on Dietrich Bonhoeffer. So I'm sure he's got something living on the internet. If you look up Madison Grace and Bonhoeffer, that you'll be able to find that. So, Dr. Grace, thank you so much for your time. You're very generous with us.
Thank you, Cody. Thank you to everyone at your church. We are glad to be partners with you and to serve you in any way that we can. We're doing all this together for the kingdom. May the Lord bless you.
All right. Thank you, brother. I'm going to stop the